Hey guys, so I finally caught Safety Not Guaranteed. I say finally, because everything about this movie should have attracted me to it. Starting with the story, I think I've seen that old Craigslist, before it was even Craigslist, time travel, urban legend, want ad thing 100 times since the internet started. And I've always found it amusing, interesting, entertaining, maybe. Whatever it was, it was it. And this movie was it, and it was about that. It had New Girl guy in it, Jake Johnson. It had the lead guy in it, Mark Duplass, who's a whole topic in and of himself. And it had April Ludgate. No, come on. Show some respect. I'm not sure why I wasn't camped out for 3 days before this movie opened, but I wasn't. So here's the other thing about this movie is I'm afraid to talk about it. It feels like it's best experienced with a clean slate, with only a rough understanding, maybe the trailer of what's going on in this movie. I think it's a strong human story. It's got really well articulated characters, but there's also sufficient narrative surprise that keeps coming up in the movie to constantly recontextualize the stuff you've already seen. Oh, I'm looking at that in a different way. Turns out that scene means something different to me now. Oh, I'm looking at that in a different way. I guess the safe thing to say when you get down to it is it had a great script. It has some of the most likable actors to come along since the early Hanks era. And it will play with your perception without treating you like an idiot. I'm talking about you, Now You See Me. If there was one weak spot, I think it was the direction. I think Colin Trevorrow is his name. He made some pretty overwhelming music choices. It was one indie track after another. And there were a couple of clunky editing choices where you would be in like a wide shot, and then suddenly you'd be in this weird close-up. Plus, he also had a sort of Wes Anderson light style to him, which I could really see myself loving in a different context. However, the performances and the majority of the story felt so naturalistic that there was a bit of a disconnect between a stylized direction style and a very naturalistic series of performances. Overall, it was a great movie, and I wish I could talk about it more because there's a lot to say about it, but I wanted to make sure you had all seen it before I said anything. Let me know in the comments below if you've seen it, and that way I'll do another one of these, only with full-on spoilers.